Hello, hello.
All right. Today we're going over paid ads. So, the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about different strategies to find your leads. And last week was, I think, one of the better examples where we went over customer acquisition strategies for, that's not the right one. Or is it this one? How to generate leads. This one was really good because we showed how you can use free platforms like Built With to find leads that are using AI chatbots on their website that might be old, like things like with Intercom, and how you can essentially target those websites. Today, we're going to be talking more on kind of the other end of this, which is how you can use paid ads, how to find the right types of content for paid ads, and how to replicate them, some different ways to find that type of content and also to create this type of content. And then, of course, how to position this within your entire funnel and offer and kind of everything in between here. So, to get started, there's a couple of different things that I want to mention. So, most of the time when people start coming down the ideas of wanting to run paid ads, it potentially could be from two major points of view. The first could be, oh, we're already doing a bunch of organic social media and we know exactly what type of content to use because this organic type of content is working really well. So now we just want to put more money behind it to make it go further, reach more people, have higher engagement. This is always one of the best ways to do these types of things because you already have an idea of what type of content and what style is actually going to work for your specific brand. But if you're not at that stage yet, it can be a little daunting to want to spend a bunch of money to figure out what type of content is actually going to work for you and your company. So there's a few different ways that we can, I would say, ethically, quote unquote, ethically steal our competitors' ads. And this is what everybody does. And this is why typically when you see certain trends pop up on social media, it's because other people see that a certain trend style format is working really well. And then people will take that format and then they will put their own spin on it. And that's obviously the key here is, well, we're not trying to literally copy and paste their ads. We're trying to, remake them in our own style with our own type of content. And like Tim said, great artists steal. There's a great book by Austin Kleon that I have back here that's the exact title of it. And there's so many different examples of this, but there's a few different resources that are available to us by the ad platforms themselves, which is quite useful. So the first one is Facebook Ads Library or Meta Ads Library. And this one has been around for quite a while. And this is where you can essentially put in a keyword and you can search for anything that you'd want to search for that contains that keyword, and it's going to show you ads that other people are running. Now, what's really cool about this is you can see tons of different styles of ads in all these different niches on how people are trying to generate leads for their own business and go into the details and see the videos, see the content and the creative and all the different things that people are doing here. So this is a really good resource to kind of get a more broad overview of what kind of the playing field looks like in terms of what your competitors are doing and then what type of ads they are running based off of these certain keywords. Now, if we kind of go one step back, we may not even know what type of keywords that we want to search in here. So how do we kind of find what keywords to search? Well, there's another tool called Answer the Public, which I've been using and have been a happy paying customer for many years. And this website essentially allows you to put in similar searches, and then you can actually search on specific social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and of course the normal search platforms. So for example, if we go to YouTube and we put in, AI bot here, the system is going to find top videos or top search results that will represent videos that people are actually looking for and then consequently click on. And so this gives us a lot of options and values of what we can use as keywords to search for, because essentially this is how people are searching for our core keyword in these different platforms. And so the way that we can leverage this is not only with SEO, because that's very much what Answer the Public is more positioned for, but we can also use this information to search for different types of content and ads within the Facebook ads library. We can also do the same thing with the TikTok ads library, essentially. So these guys have the same concept where it's going to show the top ads across different industries and locations. And this one you do have to have well, I mean, just like the Meta and Facebook ad, you have to have an account, which is free to get started. The one difference I will say with TikTok ads is it's definitely more focused on shopping because of TikTok Shop and how popular that is. However, it still is a good way to figure out the types of formats of ads that are working really well that can get a lot of engagement and a lot of clicks. And if we think about this from a more high level view, the goal of all of this is just, how do we get as cheap of a CPM? How low can we get our CPM, our cost per mille, which it represents essentially the cost per 1,000 eyeballs or 1,000 people looking at our ad versus a how high of a click-through rate that we can get. And so these are kind of the two levers here that we're trying to play with. When we look at organic content, when we're not paying for engagement, our CPM essentially is zero because we're not spending money. We're not, there's no cost to reach those people, which is why in the past few examples, I've always talked about how focusing on content creation is a really good way to get started because you're not having to spend any money to figure that out in the first place. That being said, once you start wanting to scale things up and expand your top of funnel for generating more leads, these two values, CPM and CTR, are going to be two of the main metrics that you're going to look at to identify which ads are performing well and which ones are maybe not performing well. And so when you kind of combine all of these different things together, you'll start to find trends and you'll start to see examples that you could be like, oh yeah, I could remake that carousel or that type of video or that type of static image that represents the value that I'm trying to bring to my customers. And a couple of different other resources that I like to mention, because one of the large trends for basically all industries right now is how UGC, user generated content, is pretty much always going to outperform super high quality polished ads. And if you've, for everyone on this call and everyone watching on YouTube, you've probably experienced this yourself in some way where you're scrolling through the feed and you come across some video or some creative, and it, like, within a half a second or a second, you already know it's an ad because of the way that it's shot and edited and put together. Whereas UGC can be a little bit more tricky in the way that it's positioned. And obviously, these are all examples of videos that are on TikTok where it's people that are just making videos of themselves using different products or whatever it may be, and then putting some text on the screen. This is by far one of the most popular ways to get engagement on your videos. And of course, you can do that yourself and film these things yourself, but there's also ways to use AI and the advancements and some of this technology that we're seeing to do that stuff for you. And so a couple of the ones that I've used in the past, the first one's called HeyGen. This one is pretty crazy. If you're not familiar with this, it basically allows you to upload footage of yourself, and then you can write a script or have ChatGPT write a script, and then paste that script into HeyGen, and then your AI avatar will then start speaking the script. And they just released a new version of their model, which makes it very difficult to tell when it's you versus your AI avatar. Now, the one caveat I will say with that is the just like with everything with AI, the quality of the input equals the quality of the output. So if you can film, and they give you a bunch of examples and tutorials and instructions on how to do this in the most effective way, but having good lighting, having a decent camera and clear audio of you speaking will all help make these AI avatars work and look better. And the cool thing is you can then use this to make lots of different variations of your ads or your videos or your UGC content at scale without you having to sit down or potentially even have hire somebody else. Another one that has recently started gaining a lot of traction is called Real.farm. This is one that I've been looking into quite a bit recently because this is basically the same thing, but it is hyper personalized for vertical video and this UGC style content. So it uses essentially the same API and technology as HeyGen, but then they've basically formatted it in a way to where they make it like a, Gen Z marketing team, but way cheap. Like I love this tagline. Great tagline. So this one's pretty cool. They also do some other things like slideshows and carousels, which are performing like crazy right now. I highly recommend doing and checking out carousels. But yeah, this is just another one that I wanted to mention. Both of these are decently affordable to get started and for you to be able to check them out. But of course, I'm always a fan of trying to do things for free or as cheap as possible. And the way to do that is just sit down, use your phone and start filming some ideas. And it could be something that is related to these keywords and searches that we found using Answer the Public, which are always a great way to get essentially prompts for yourself. This is how I also use these a lot to find questions that people are asking for, and then I can create videos based on those questions. And the whole goal of this, again, is to provide value and we're not trying to immediately sell people on these ads. We're trying to get eyeballs on our offer and get them to take the next step, which is typically going to be providing their information in exchange for a piece of free value. When we talk about running an AI agency, it can be a little daunting, especially if a business owner is not going to be, super AI first, quote unquote, like we all might be. I've been talking with a lot of business owners recently about how there's like a very significant divide between people and business owners that are adopting and looking at this technology in a positive way versus the people that are making in my opinion the wrong thing to do, but making their company like AI is banned at our company, which is to me ridiculous the way that this technology is moving. So we're not trying to necessarily sell these people right away on this type of stuff. So how do we get them to work up to that? And that's where we've talked about in the last couple of weeks this concept of the value ladder. Where is it? Value ladder here, where we're trying to get people to get a free value opt-in, and then we're going to slowly work them up the ladder so that way they eventually can become a subscriber. And so one of the ways that we can kind of do this jump from free value to a subscriber is through a landing page sequence or a funnel. And so this is one that I've used quite often, and this works for many different industries. And of course, it works for what we're all trying to do with AI agencies as well, where we're going to figure out and create UGC style content using all of these resources, and we're going to create lead generation ads inside of Meta and or TikTok. In my opinion, Meta is easier to get started with in the grand scheme of things. It still can be quite daunting if you're not familiar with setting up campaigns and running ads before. But there are so many resources on YouTube that will walk you through step by step by step on how to do this, especially because Meta likes to make updates on a daily or weekly basis. And for people like myself who typically will create ad campaigns and then let them run, there might be a new feature that they've released or some new AI tool. And I just don't have the ability to keep up with all of the updates like people that are, pro ad guys or, ad agencies for that matter. A lot of my friends still run advertising agencies, so I get a lot of unique insights and things for them, which is hopefully what I can, provide to everyone here on these calls as well. But the general idea here is we're going to generate ads or generate lead. We're going to create lead generation ads, and then we're going to collect their information by pushing them to a landing page. Now, this right here is one of the areas where there could be differing views on how to run this first step, which is can be kind of annoying, but it does work better or worse depending on a lot of different variables and factors. And the difference between here is like, are we collecting the information on Facebook or are we pushing them to a third party page where we're asking them to put in their information? And the main difference here is when we push them to a third party page, a landing page, that user is going to have to manually type in their name, email, and potentially their phone number in order to get this piece of free value. The difference with pushing people direct using Facebook lead form or on Instagram is Facebook and Meta, they have that information saved in the background. So when somebody is shown a form that says enter your name, email, phone number, whatever, that information is automatically put into that lead form. So the user is not having to type that information in. And if you're thinking like, oh my gosh, that sounds like such a great kind of hack, there is a downside to this because it is so easy, the quality of the leads that are being received by on Facebook platform forms is quite lower. And so what you'll typically start to see is you'll get hundreds of leads, if not thousands of leads, but the quality of them is going to be significantly lower, and it's going to be a lot more work to try to weave through the ones that are good to find, or the ones that are bad to find the ones that are good. And so this is one of those things that having that extra barrier to putting in your information is actually kind of a good thing. And especially when we're talking about AI agencies and selling AI agents specifically, because this is kind of a higher tier offer. We're not trying to sell to everybody. And the power to pre-say no to a lead is going to save you so much time and money in the long run. So that is just a quick little tidbit on why, in my recommendation and the way that we typically will run things, is we always want to push people to a landing page that looks something like this. Obviously, it's a ridiculous photo of me, but trying to get people to download the free value guides. And so the idea here is we get people to land on this landing page. They're going to enter their information and complete the form to get this piece of free value. Now, at minimum, we want to collect their name and email. It's a bonus if we can get their phone number because as we know, speed to lead, automation, and a lot of systems now are able to automatically send text messages to people to ask them, more information. And that is a very, very common use case for a lot of agencies on Stammer, as well as to set up those automations using the AI agents to text those people, help qualify them further. Like, hey, are you actually a business owner? Or are you just trying to get some free information? Yada, yada, things like that. So typically I like to do the name, email, phone number situation. And then once people click the send me the download button, it's actually going to redirect them to a new page. And this is where, again, we're starting to move people up the ladder. So this page, and there's a lot of versions of this page, but I made this demo an example as easy to replicate for everyone watching as possible because it does work, and this has generated us thousands of leads in the past. So at the top here, we're going to have a call out that says, "Congratulations, the resource is on the way to your inbox." So that way, immediately the lead knows that they're going to get value from their inbox, that it's going to be in their inbox, so they're not struggling to like look for the resource or like where is it? Like where'd it go? Well, it's going to be in your inbox, obviously. But we're trying to obviously sell them to our larger core upsell, which is going to be working with us as an AI agency. And so this is where we can start to position our offer for the specific niches that we are trying to target. Obviously, mine is going to be targeting other agencies who are trying to learn how to make money with AI. But for things like yourself or for agencies that are watching this, this might be something positioned towards plumbers or restaurants or dentist office, whatever it may be. This is going to be something that is hyper niched and hyper specific. So that way it connects with the original ad that they were trying to target in the first, or that we're trying to create in the first place. And this is where we start to have this kind of holistic view or system where things can be connected to one another without being directly correlated, if that makes sense. So this page is a way to basically showcase the value and identify the problems that people might have. So for example, like with real estate agents as a good example, they always have leads that go uncontacted. So on this page, it could be all about how you could use AI, help real estate agents using AI, and they'll never miss a lead ever again. And that's a pretty common problem that a lot of people have. And so we're identifying that problem and then we're providing a solution through booking a free one-on-one demo with a human. And I always like to call that one out because sometimes with all this talk of AI, people are like, "Oh, am I just going to be talking with some AI?" And it's like, no, we're going to be talking with you or me or whoever's going to be doing these calls. If you're just getting started with your AI agency and you don't have a large team, this will be something that you do. But the whole goal here is because we have all of these barriers to get people to be interested, this is not going to be something that just everybody is going to book. So ideally, when somebody eventually gets to the scheduling page, on this scheduling page, we can have further qualification questions that pop up and are asked to the user. So that way you can either qualify or disqualify someone even before they book the call. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, especially because it really depends niche by niche. But typically what we'll do is some sort of monetary question that will help qualify user. And that question will be something to the effect of, are you willing or able to spend X amount of dollars investing in your business to achieve a XYZ goal? And that is one of the core questions to have in your calendar booking form. And the goal here is to get people to be interested through all of this stuff to then book a meeting. And the last core piece of this that I like to put in here is a preparation for the call, the prep for the meeting. A lot of people will just have, oh, schedule a meeting, and then they'll be like, all right, thanks for booking a meeting. And then that's it. What actually is a much better way, and it's pretty easy to get set up, is simply put a video of you introducing yourself, maybe answering a few of the top questions that you get asked most of the time, and put that right on this page. So it says, please watch this video before your meeting, and you can have this be automatically played, or people just click the play button. And this is something that is going to be a really useful thing because this is something that you can reference when you get on the call with people. Like, hey, did you have a chance to watch that video? Did you do any of the preparation tasks that I asked you to do in this video? And it'll be very clear, like if someone just skips over this stuff or doesn't follow your instructions, that's kind of like a red flag. They're not willing to put in the little work of watching a 1 to 3 minute video before meeting with you, where you might be doing a lot of prep for the meeting and looking into their business and all these different things. So that's a nice little addition that I always like to add with Stammer and all of our white label accounts and things like that. There's always an opportunity to get people to sign up immediately for their own account. This is something that is more specific to all of us working with Stammer and making this a core part of our offer, but it's not necessarily needed. And it's one of those things that kind of complicates the funnel a little bit because again, a lot of people and a lot of business owners, they just want to focus on their business. They're not necessarily trying to learn a whole new platform. They just want a solution to their problem delivered right to their face. And that's what the goal of these these meetings is we can do that in a way where when someone books a meeting, that's a good signal for us to then create an example AI agent based off of their website, and we can get that from asking for their website or asking for their email address and then using their email to find their website, things like that. And then on that call, we just show them a demo version of the AI agent and how it could work and solve their problems. So coming up right on the half hour here. I know I went through a lot. I tried to simplify this as much as possible and give a bunch of templates and examples here. All of this information I'll have posted, and I'll make a free download for everybody that is in the school community. Like we always do our replays and things. So if you want to go further and do a deep dive on this and use this as a template to copy and remake yourself, please do so. I'm happy for everyone who uses this template. But that being said, is there any questions for today about anything that I talked about today? Please share the 2500 success story.
Oh, yes, Ross, I was talking about in the Discord, the guy that signed up for the trial and sold the agent before the trial was over.
Oh, okay.
We actually don't, I don't think we know a lot of details yet, Ross, right? I mean,
Oh,
we just saw it in the analytics.
yeah, yeah. Well, we know one, and I mean, they were cold calling. So
Ah, okay.
cold calling once again rears its ugly but profitable head, so to speak, in the sense that we had a customer, I think it was last week or mid 2 weeks ago. They signed up for the $49 plan, and during the trial, without paying us yet, they were able to start cold calling businesses. And because they had set up the entire white label side of the thing, connect to their domain and Stripe and all that. And so they had packages ready to go, and they were able to sell a business on I think it was like a 24.95 a month offer for an AI agent that was I believe it was I think it was for like a dentist office, if I'm not mistaken. But it seems like that is kind of like a common occurrence with a lot of the different agencies that we talk to. But I know Tim and I and the rest of our team were kind of laughing about how this guy made $2,500 off of a free trial, and potentially will,
Impressive.
and hopefully will sign up for our higher tier plans, because that's a pretty hell of a good ROI on on an investment, or lack thereof, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's always a fun one. Yeah, thanks, Kasoon, for for sharing that. Yeah,
All
cool.
right. Should we wrap things up and jump on the support call?
Yeah, any other last questions or comments, concerns? We'll have the replay of this up probably by Friday. If not, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.